Hey, we have some fun headphone equipment today, but this one isn't only for the headphone users. It also serves my speaker friends who need a preamp out for their desktop amp or powered speakers. It's the FiiO K7. APO sent this one out to me for review today, but all thoughts and opinions are of my own. The FiiO K5 was a very popular headphone amp for many reasons. This is the replacement. It has some more power, an improved DAC, and still comes in at a really nice price point of $200. Today we'll be looking at the K7 specs and build, features, competition, and we'll end it with what I liked and what I'd like to see next time on this. The power comes from the dual THX AAA 788 Plus chips. Single-ended, it puts out 1.2 watts at 32 ohms, and balanced, 2 watts at 32. I think that's a sweet spot as far as output requirements at this price point. The headphones you're likely to pair with the $200 amp are unlikely to have any requirements beyond this. In my case for testing, I had it paired with what I expect several viewers to also use or at least have at some point listened to, the Sennheiser HD6XX. It's a great match for an amp like this. The K7 houses dual AK4493 DAC chips. That alone isn't exactly the norm at this budget range. Dual amps and dual DACs. The AK4493 isn't the best thing out there by any means, but it's certainly competent and a good match for this piece of hardware. Taking a look at this unit itself, it's really nice looking. It has a sleek black case with rounded edges, even some RGB around the volume knob. But I should note, you can't set the colors or anything like that. You get what you get, and the colors are actually determined by what's playing. For example, when it's in use, the LED will display the frequency rate by showing blue for signals below 48 Hz and yellow for above it. You also get this rainbow effect, for example, when you turn it on. It won't be for everyone, but honestly, it's not very distracting, and I didn't mind it at all. The rest of the front panel has a few other features, starting with the input selection on the far left. You can cycle through 3 digital and 1 analog. We have USB, optical, coax, and a line-in via the RCA. This is also worth highlighting, I think. I'm not certain there is a comparable product at $200 that offers the same sort of connection options. It's definitely a versatile piece of equipment. So right next door, we have the gain switch. Just 2 options here. Some people noted that they thought there should have been 3, but honestly, I didn't find the need to go above low with the HD6XX, so 2 options were fine with me. To the right of that is the output selection, and this one has a little quirk that you should be aware of. If you have the bottom position selected, that's going to be for outputting to your headphones. Bump it up a notch, and that switches to the pre-out with a variable volume. And now this one requires caution. If you select it into the top position, the volume will be a fixed output. Essentially max volume, right? So just be careful there. I really like that they gave us this switch on the front. It allows me to switch seamlessly between headphones and speakers. Some of the headphone amps out there surprisingly don't allow this. You have to unplug your headphones to switch to the output for the speakers. The only change I would have made here is possibly having the line out fixed output selection on the rear, just to avoid any mistakes sending you into the full volume abyss. In the center is the RGB volume knob. It's actually the power switch as well. All the way to the left and it clicks off. The volume knob's alright. My only real gripe with it is there's very little usable volume until you reach around 1 PM on the dial. The first half adds very little in comparison to the second half, so it's not really linear. Once you establish your typical listening levels, it won't be a problem though. It's just something to be aware of. There's also delay when you're changing volume, a bit of a ramped effect. This isn't a problem, rather just a quirk that I wanted to point out during its use. And finally, we have the 2 headphone outputs, a 6.35mm single-ended and 4.4mm balanced. It also comes with an adapter to drop down to 3.5 as shown here. Turning this one around, we are met with a host of connections. Starting left to right, we have the line in, then the pre and line out next to it. Following that, we get our 3 digital connections, coax, optical, and USB. Really the only item some may miss here is the addition of Bluetooth. And guess what? You can get that now too, but it'll cost you a little extra. They now offer a revised model with Bluetooth as well. So how does this actually sound? Well, it actually sounds a lot better than I was expecting. Not dry at all like some TH amps suffer from in my opinion. The bass is confident and realistic. Not pounding deep bass, but good slam in the mid and upper ranges. I felt like it has a slightly warm flavor in the mids and upper ranges, but that may also have to do with my particular headphone pairing. I honestly just find it really capable for this price. Not really a reference amp, but by all means you shouldn't expect it to be. But what it does well is it plays like a jack of all trades as far as genres go, and does really well with recordings that may be lacking a bit of fidelity. If I was going to match this up against anything else, it might be the iFi ZenDAC V2. They come in at the same price, both balanced, but the K7 will beat it out as far as connectivity goes. The only digital input option is USB on the iFi. The K7 also is much more powerful, actually around 6 times more powerful at 32 ohms. So as you can see, the K7 is pretty tempting. You get all the connection options plus the power to back it up. I think the biggest selling point here is that it really isn't doing anything wrong. There isn't a major flaw in any area that holds you back from making a purchase. You really shouldn't feel like you're missing out on anything when you're using the K7. When you consider what some other pieces of gear are selling for and what they offer, this feels like a pretty good deal. Loads of inputs, preamp functions, good power, and truly balanced. It will meet the needs of most listeners, I would say. Now all that's left is a quick list of what I like and what I'd like to see next time. So for one, I really like the sound. It's an easy listen, and it matched up with several genres of music without any issue. The power was great. I had no issues in low gain. Never required me to switch it up to high, actually. As for connections, it has basically everything. You won't miss out on much here, maybe short of a balanced output. The flat out price beats the competition here when you put them side by side and compare the features. It's definitely a value buy. And now what I'd like to see next time. The volume knob could be improved in the way that you wouldn't really have any usable volume until you reach around 1 p.m. A little more linear sensitivity would help there, I think. I wouldn't mind a remote either. Not going to be used all the time, but what can I say? They're pretty handy. And especially when you might be using it for preamp functionality on a set of speakers. I would prefer the fixed volume selection to be on the back as well, just to prevent any full volume mistakes. So that's it. You can check these out at my links below. Please consider subscribing, as I have a lot of good content on the way, and your subscriptions help me to get in more review equipment. Take care and have a good one. See ya.